can get to the things that I think that are really helpful. And the purpose of this is not for me trying to sell you anything or to promote anything or promote myself. It's basically to really try helping people and to help you guys with any questions you've got. Like the simpler the better. Sometimes I've got a load of questions which you guys have sent in, and I can answer those, but you can also type in stuff. So I am gonna check what you guys are typing, but I'll start with some of the questions that have gone through, and I'll potentially be here like every week. We could do a Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, so don't feel like we have to get through all these questions. We can basically do this. I'm just here, like, lockdown sucks, doesn't it? So I hope that this is gonna help, and yeah, that's what I'm here for, basically, to try and help. The other thing to say is that I don't have all the answers either, so I'm just gonna answer as honestly as I can, and I hope that helps. But like, the views that I have are just based on my experience, and like, I'm a very normal guy. That's the thing to say, and I've been very lucky in my career to work with the people that I've worked with, and I've worked super hard. So hopefully that's helpful in itself, in that, you know, I don't come from like some super musical family, or it's a very sort of basic story, mine. So yeah, let me jump into some of these questions. So I like this one. If you believe in your craft and skill as a songwriter, it takes more to elevate your career, i.e. contacts and networking. What do you think is the best way to do this without irritating people or being creepy? Okay, that's a good question. So for me, with like hustling, I'm a really bad hustler, and I've always felt that the key is always going to be in the music. So I'm a kind of purist like that, in that I think that the quality of your art is always going to be found. I think now more than ever you're gonna be able to find ways through. Like, all the people that I know, all the people that I've worked with, have been supremely talented by putting the work in. And I think that if you can combine that with a certain amount of hustle and like non-creepy, irritating networking, then that's good. I mean, I sometimes feel that the people that network harder than they concentrate on what it is that they want to do can kind of get lost in the network a little bit. So I guess the answer is, it's like a 50-50 balance. Let me just read the question again to make sure that sorry about that. I was just getting an 0161 number. Do any of you get those? I definitely think that's like an insurance company trying to sell me something. Yeah, I think there's a way of like contacting people, reaching out to people. Give people like your best shot. Send out that CV. Don't be afraid of doing that. But I think that you've really got to concentrate on what it is that you're doing. If you're a manager, if you're an engineer, if you're a producer, at the end of the day, like, I really think it's things are transparent in terms of how good you are. You know, everyone I know that I can see is like join this Q&A that are doing great things. They're doing great things because they're great. So I'm sorry if that sounds kind of like not particularly like the clearest answer, but it's real. I think that nowadays, like, the cream always rises, and now with like social media, it's so easy for people to see. I was always amazed that when I was working with Stormzy, that he would always listen to a beat and he would always be on like the newest rapper that I'd never heard of. So you'd be surprised how these incredible superstars are like able to, and are just searching and all aware of people around, you know, whether it's someone coming up in the music business or somebody mixing really well, it will definitely come through. So have hope in in that. I'm just going to pick like one thing here that I just saw. What's the best software for a beginner recording vocals? Okay, I think Logic is really good. I don't use it myself all the time. I use Ableton and Pro Tools for no other reason than I'm comfortable with those. But I feel like Logic, if I was going to suggest one software to anybody that could take you right through to from recording a vocal through to the finished product, then it would be that, because it's just you've got synths on there, and you've got the vocal comping is really good, and the mixing is good on it. So that's the answer to that question. And someone asked me on email, what software do I use and why? I use Ableton Live for coming up with initial ideas and beats and melodies and synths and any idea that I've got from the beginning, because I think that's super quick for me. And then I move it across behind that computer that you can see into Pro Tools. So that for me is like the finish. That's like a tape machine for me. So it always goes to Pro Tools, and that's where I finish the mixes. What made me want to be a producer? I was a guitar player when I was young, and then I started getting into producing by getting into the studio and playing guitar on people's tracks, and I could see what a producer actually did, like live in the flesh. And to me, it like just blew my mind, because to be able to see a song being formed and then being able to call musicians in and bring all these elements together and write, but to have drums going and potentially like strings and vocal melodies and mix that all together, I think that's to me was what got me into it. And it's like the best kind of drug in the world, that feeling of starting in the studio with people with nothing and then ending up with a fully formed track. How do you choose the artists you work with? That's another good question. I think you've got to be authentic to yourself, and I think that for me, I look a little bit at how I can serve certain artists. I think there's a sort of cynical answer that a cynical way of doing it, in that you make a name for yourself and then you earn as much money as possible. But for me, it's honestly been like, what can I bring to this? When I was first talking to Kano in 2003, like he wanted the guitar, so I knew that I could do like guitar tracks with him, and then that broadened out into all the other tracks that we've done. I knew that when Stormzy approached me about working on Gang Signs and Prayer, that he wanted this blend of original beats that he'd already got, but someone to bring in live orchestration and brass parts and harp and melodies and bring that all together and help with the songwriting and bring the concept of Gang Signs and Prayer together. And the same, I guess, with Dave in a slightly different way. But I think it's, to me, choosing the artist is about what you can bring. Like, what's your unique skill, and what in which way can you serve the artist? Which I know sounds a little weird, but I think that if you take that approach, then you're always going to be fulfilled in the music and the collaborations that you do. How much lyric writing have you got involved with on different albums? The thing for me is that I've tried to develop my skills. Some are like very basic and very limited, but tried to be as wide as possible, so that I can I can really get involved with lyrics, like I did with Sam Smith on his first album, because I just felt that was something that would be fun to do, and that we could sort of bounce off each other and really get into the lyrics. But with artists like Adele, she was mainly doing her own lyrics. We would work together on melodies, and she would then go and come up with these most incredible lyrics. You know, certain personal lyrics I find pretty difficult to get involved in, because they really should come from the artists themselves. So I guess that's a sliding scale in terms of what's required. Next question: do you have any tips for beginner songwriters? Okay, I would say that thing for me about songwriting is to try and learn as much as you can across different genres. So for me, like growing up listening to like folk music and Carole King and soul music, and just really trying to get inside the chords and the lyrics, I think it's a real help if you can play an instrument. So on whatever level, if you can work out chords, if you can develop your keys or your guitar and come up with simple melodies, and then study from the greats, and just if you do that enough, then eventually it just become, they say that you are what you eat. And I honestly think that if you assimilate all this stuff on a daily basis, like you're working on like the Supreme songs, or like all that Motown stuff, and you're just going through it and just working out what they're doing when they're going to the chorus. Does the melody go up? It doesn't have to be like super intense, or like you don't have to have that much knowledge for music, but what is it? What's giving it that impact when a song goes into the chorus or goes? How are those middle eights or the bridges so good? What are the verses like? Are they quick? Are they where is the melody going? Are they high? Are they low? Does the melody go up in the chorus? And you can start to get some like similarities between great songs depending on the kind of stuff that you want to do. So I think music to me, what's great about it is such an open book for everybody to join in. It's such there's no barriers to it. You know, everyone has, well, lots of people have access to like streaming services, and you can just check out like this wealth of great songwriting within that, and just listen over again, loop the chorus, and just work out what it is that makes these songs great. And that to me is the way that you would start, and then you can develop your keys and your lyric writing and the scanning of each line, and the rhymes and the cadences, and then you can get just way more into. I mean, I wouldn't call myself, like, I wouldn't say that I've fulfilled anywhere near my potential as a songwriter yet. You know, I feel like there's so many areas that I need to improve on, but hopefully that is inspiring in some way, because like I've been doing this for a long time now. So somebody just asked, what's the best way to learn producing? I mean, I hate to say it, but there's no quick sort of fix to learning producing. But again, you know, the reason that I get up at 5:30 in the morning is that I just love. I was in the studio this morning at 6. Like, there's so much that I have to learn. So much. I was playing guitar in there. I was like practicing singing. I was learning to sight read, like grade 2 piano, bar black sheep, simplest thing. But like my sight reading has always been terrible, so I'm trying to learn that. The thing about producing is that, for me anyway, is that there's so much to it that you could write a list, and that may, I guess, maybe not the best thing to do, because you'd probably be like very overwhelmed at the beginning. But I mean, I guess if it's just producing, I guess I'd say the same thing as with songwriting, in that you could go through and listen to great records that you thought were really well produced, and then write 10 things that you thought were great about those records, and then just delve into what it is that makes us great. So if it was a rap record, you could listen to the drums and say, okay, well, where does this journey take me from whoever's made those drums, like whoever it is, and like a new producer, you could Google that, and then you could go back and say, well, see an interview with him and see that maybe he was influenced by Jay Dilla, and you could then go and open up the whole crate of Jay Dilla songs and then study some NWA or some early Dre beats and just work out what's good about those and try and replicate them, and then just, I think that the most important thing that to me crosses over or is the kind of common denominator for artists that are true artists or true producers or true songwriters or true managers or anyone in the industry, I would say, is the ability to look at some great work and look at your own work and really see it for what it is. Because I see a lot of people that maybe have this false sense of confidence, which can like take you to a certain level, but ultimately I feel like you're going to get found out. And I think that the truest artists to me are the ones that always go back to the drawing board and are always very real about their failings, you know, and I think that can sometimes be crushing. I mean, sometimes you listen back to your mixes and you hear them against other people's mixes, or you listen to a great song and you feel like you're never going to get to that point. But I think that in that, the point where you're at the bottom of the hill and you just know you've got to try and climb this mountain, you've got to try and stay inspired. And I think there's a mental kind of toughness to that. And don't get me wrong, like I may be sitting here in this amazing studio, but I'm like, I feel crushed on a daily basis when I hear stuff, not in a sort of bad emotional way, but just in me being so real with myself that at times it's unrealistic, because I'll hear like a Spike Stent mix and kind of beat myself up of why my mix isn't as good as that, or a new producer, and think like, wow, that's so great. So I think that the as someone just said, self-assessment is the key to all this, and just being completely real with yourself. So someone asked me, did you go to any universities or colleges or courses that were useful? I did a lot of courses at Berklee School of Music. That was a college that I really wanted to go to when I was younger, but the funds were not available from the bank of my parents at the time. So that was like not an option. So I went through life. I went to West London Institute for a year and did a great year there and learned a lot, and then just felt like I had loads more to learn. So as online courses were coming onto the internet, like the Berklee courses for me, like smashed it, and I've done about 13 of those courses, and I've got like close to a lot of the teachers there and met a lot of friends and learned everything from piano playing to singing, not that you'd realise it if you heard me sing, orchestration, Ableton, Pro Tools, mixing, yeah, all that stuff. I'm dedicated to learning and still do loads of stuff. I'm just taking a Sibelius course at the minute at Berklee, which is amazing to help me read and write music. So yeah. So another question from emails: how do you go about working across genres? Good question. good question. I mean, again, you are what you eat, and I think that for me, I'm always someone that has just been very eclectic. Maybe it was like my parents that were into like loads of different styles of music, and maybe, I don't know, I've just had this attraction to so many different genres, from rap to rock to progressive music to jazz. Like I just see the genius in every style. So for me, being able to respectfully learn as much as you can about a genre and the cultural influences behind that genre, and try and mix it up is the thing for me that I said not live for, but musically, you know, the artists that I've worked with are ones that love mixing genres. I mean, when I worked with Kano on Typical Me, the excitement that I got through adding that rock guitar to like a grime beat was one of the biggest rushes I've ever had in music, you know, and to feel like we were doing something different, and when we worked on a track called Signs in Life, and I remember that classical sample that I took, and just being able to hear like Kano flow over this completely different thing was such a rush. So that's not really answering the question, like how, but I think how you just mix it up, and again, being real with yourself. If it doesn't sound very good, then try something else and try different genres. And the thing is now is that you don't even have to go digging through the crate of vinyl at Oxfam, which is what I used to do to bring different records home. And now you can literally just go onto Spotify and that's like the easiest thing to do. Any advice for people being put off from starting because of age? Like honestly, I'm a late starter. You know, I feel like I've had sort of 2 or 3 careers rolled into one, and don't ever feel old is the key. I think that I can't remember when I had my first number one, but I feel like I was 37 or 38, and you can always kind of look at the amazing young talent that's out there who are 17 or 18, and I think like your experience in life will always be a benefit whatever age you're starting music. You know, I don't know who posted that and how old you are. I mean, it's none of my business, but the thing for me is like you have to ignore the age thing, I think, and just you know, I feel it in that when I first started songwriting, I was kind of a little bit older than the artist, and then our daughter grew up, and I was like, well, I'm kind of the same age as the artist's parents, and soon it's going to be like I'm the granddad of, you know, which is I guess going to sort of be weird, but you you got to just try and not let that put you off. I honestly don't think that there's any barrier. Good music is good music, and there's loads of examples of I can't remember what age, like Da Vinci painted his masterworks, but there's plenty of masters that are doing stuff that were doing or are doing stuff into their 80s, like David Hockney, and amazing artists. So I wouldn't worry about that. And next question from email was, how do you keep improving and keep your passion for music? I think how you keep improving, this is a good one, just because I've had these sort of revelations this year at the end of last year, where there's so much to do in the studio and so many different things that it will become overwhelming. What I've started doing, and I'm not like, this isn't I don't know if this is like a proven thing that works, but I set my watch for 15 minutes. I've got an alarm on my other watch, and literally just do whatever I can intensely for 15 minutes. So 15 minutes hard guitar playing, like soloing, like really getting the fingers going, and then 15 minutes of sight reading, and then 15 minutes of lyric writing. And it's amazing what you can get done in an hour. And I think that the thing for me is I'm doing that 7 days a week across all these different things that you need to, well, I feel I need to improve on. I feel like I'm making incredible gains across like all these different like facets of, it could be like 15 minutes of going in on like learning how to work this synth that you kind of stumble around but you never quite get to knowing. But I think like 15 minutes a day is really good because it doesn't become boring, it doesn't get overwhelming, and you can get to the end of, like, even if you did an hour, 4 times 15 minutes, definitely for me, you get this feeling of momentum because you feel like you're always improving. So yeah, the 15 minute rule is really good. And how do you keep your passion? I mean, I think if you're passionate, the only way you're gonna the thing that I would say is true. Well, it's definitely true for me. I'm pretty sure it's true across the board. Is passion wins. You know, the level of commitment that you have to put in is not in any way about money or is in any way about the accolades or the awards. Like those awards are incredible when people can recognize what you're doing, but the key to me is the passion for putting great music out there. And I think that something I watched once was it was called The Golden Circle, and it was really about the power of why. And the reference on that was the Wright brothers who developed the plane, and apparently at the time where these guys were you know, see those old films, black and white films of like the Wright brothers like cycling along and one of the brothers like pushing the other one, and then the guy trying to take off and it just like collapsing and stuff. They looks like funny now when you see all the planes flying, but they kept doing that, and obviously that was like, I don't know how you'd even go, I'm going to start flying. Well, we're going to, you know, they were the guys that did it. Anyway, there were some German guys who had loads of money, and the reason that they were doing that was because they thought they'd earn loads of money. But the reason that the Wright brothers learned everything about aeronautical expertise and developed the plane was because their why was to connect people and to make the world a smaller place. So it was really, really solid. So they, when times got tough, they kept going. And I think that the passion for music is really about taking time to ask yourself why you're actually doing this. Because I think to get a Brit Award is not the answer. I think that if you really go deep, then it's about putting out stuff without sounding like an old hippie here, but there is a bit of that in this, that it's about, for me, that the why of making music is collaborating with other musicians and having a hand in creating music that touches people in a certain way, whether it's on the dance floor or whether it's when they're going through an emotional kind of crisis, or they're wanting to party on a Friday night, or all manner of things. It just, for me, like the greatest joy in music has been to see people en masse enjoying something that maybe, well, it probably would have been there if it wasn't for me, but that I helped an artist to get to that point. And I think that that when you see people, it doesn't even have to be on a mass, but if you see like 10 people that are just jamming to your to a beat that you made, or just people that are into a lyric, or people who are into a title or a melody, there's something to me that there is a few better feelings. And I think that as long as you're clear about the why of why you're doing this, then you'll just keep going, and the passion is just there, because it's very honest. And I think that, again, I don't want to sound like I'm in a sort of ivory tower of, well, the good things have happened, and I worked with all these amazing artists, but I honestly feel that mindset, I've always had that. And I think that to keep that purity about it means that when the going gets tough, then you can always fall back on the core of why you're doing what you're doing, which, believe you me, like we all know, like the times get tough, the lockdown is tough, but I think that the contribution is the key. Another question from the emails is, what's the most difficult thing you've ever had to do in the studio? What's the most difficult thing? I think it was probably cutting a session short with an artist that I think was just going through some difficulties. And like I would always pride myself as being someone that could for me, really, to make an artist feel at home and to feel good. But I think this particular artist was just not, like, beyond feeling good. So the thing for me, the most difficult thing, I think, was cutting the session short. I thought I was doing it for her, and there was nothing more really to give. But yeah, it was a very tough call to make. Some of you were asking how you reach out. I think on the post that we put up, there was a info@70hertz email, which is the one to reach me and send music, and I can always, like, if we're going to do this again next Tuesday, then I can like check out any questions or music. Do you still play the guitar? Yes, every day. The Future Utopia. Well done, Josh. info@70hertz. I'm just reading some of these questions now. What upcoming talent should we be? I know who's asked that, so I'm gonna definitely say New Faith, because those girls are amazing. Maisie, I'm in the studio with at the minute, who is incredible. I would say those two are incredible. There's Parsaloo, who I think is an incredible rapper. There's so many great artists coming through. The Easy Life album, I wouldn't say those guys are new, but their album is going to be incredible. Somebody asked, what was the favourite song you produced on Psychodrama? Favourite song I produced on Psychodrama was Leslie, because the emotion of that track was, and like the length of that track was overwhelming. I can't remember how long it is, but I think it's like 13 minutes or something. But the key to that was Dave had put his vocals down, like sketched them down, and I think that we kind of jammed through it in terms of, we had some string sounds up and then put it together like that, and then went to the amazing Rosie Danvers, and she did the string arrangement from what we'd done as like jamming out this string thing. Which is interesting, when I see like people like Hans Zimmer, I feel like those great string composers do that as well. So I'm not a great string composer, but I felt like that, yeah, was a great thing that we did. And Dave's concept on Leslie and his execution and everything about that for me was like just incredible to be a part of it. So somebody just said, what's the best way to improve your mixing, to get better at mixing? That's a big question. Mixing is an art form. I think for me, I guess the thing about mixing is developing your ear so you can get to a point where, okay, so there's lots of parts to this. So I think the first thing is you've got to get your speakers so that they're positioned right, so that there's equilateral triangle between the center of the speaker, so the distance between the cones of each speaker, like if you can see like these speakers, this bit from there to there, that you measure that, and then the part from here has to be the same distance coming out to where your ear is. So that's like the first thing I see sometimes in studios some people don't have. That's obviously super basic, but you got to get the basics right. And then I think there's like now room measuring software which basically adapts the speakers to what it should be, because without a great room you're going to always struggle. You're always going to struggle hearing stuff when you have to make these adjustments. So I'd say like the first thing is that, yeah, you got to hear. And then there is a app actually called, I'll find out and I'll post that in some way, that will really help you with ear training, which I went back to basics and like these exercises that you do, again, like I was doing 15 minutes a day on, it's basically white noise, and that really helps you with knowing the frequencies. So then you can start to hear things and go, actually I need to cut 350 hertz here, or I need to boost 3K, or I need to boost. So the best way, and I mean I went through the absolute like ringer of this, to going through backwards and forwards and thinking that it was the compressor was wrong, or the EQ, or the whatever. But the real basics that I wish I'd known at the time was set your speakers up correctly, make sure that what you're hearing is actually what the sound is. So whether there's a plugin or an app that will correct your speakers so that actually 60 hertz is 60 hertz, and then to do this, I can't remember the app, but I'll find that. But you could Google it as well, like a music white noise mixing app, and if you do that like 10 minutes a day, your mixes are gonna sound so much better, because you're just gonna hear like really clearly. Someone asked what, only because I've seen it a few times. You obviously you want to know what's it like working with Carl Evans. Carl Evans is like Dave's musical other partner in crime, as well as myself and Terrell 169 and J5 and all the other great people that Dave works with. Kyle is like the secret weapon to me. He's great to work with because he's so chilled, but he's so great on the keys, and so great on his beats are amazing, and as a human he's a lovely guy. I really rate him. So yeah, he's amazing. I am just reading more of the questions. I read one, how do you keep your integrity in the studio? I think that's about honesty. I guess it comes back to the passion for music and the honesty of why you're doing stuff. You know, there was definitely a point where people wanted like sound alike sort of things from Gang Signs of Prayer, or any of the things like Adele, or any of the things that I've done. And I think your integrity knows at that point that you may have to not ride off the success of something that you've done, and keep moving and keep exploring and keep developing and keep improving. And I think that is where the integrity comes in, because I guess integrity is a lot of the time is doing the things that feel right in your heart, rather than what people are telling you should be doing, or what you feel is like the kind of the thing to do at the time. So yeah, I guess the honesty with yourself as an artist. What makes you like someone's playing? What makes you like someone's playing? How to impress you? That's an interesting question. I mean, obviously there are like virtuosos out there that are just incredible. I mean, I don't know if that question meant that it's about people playing on my records, or people that people that I just like listening to. I mean, I like listening to all kinds of musicians, from people like Steve Vai on guitar to Eric Clapton when he was playing with Cream, to Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, I love guitar players, and like that's because that's my first instrument. But piano players like Bill Evans, and just there's so many, like Michael Petrucciani and the great, well, just sax players. I love drums as well. So I don't know what it is. I guess there's a connection to the instrument where the technique is secondary, and it doesn't feel like someone playing scales. It feels like someone actually talking through the instrument. I guess that's what it is, and that's some of the great people that I've been working with, and just going back, it's nice to see Manon on here, my amazing friend and lovely, incredible mix engineer. She said that it's called Train Your Ears, that app, and that's what it was. And I probably was saying to you, Manon, that you've got to, because I just say to everyone but it's a really good app, really good, and it's like super cheap, like £3 or something. So yeah. Are there any other questions that I have missed on the thing? No, I'm just seeing if there are any more questions here. I think we're pretty good. So I will love you and leave you. Thank you everyone for coming. If email me questions, email me music and all that stuff, and if we feel like it's the demand, I mean, it doesn't really matter if there's 5 people I can help. I'll be here to help. Then we can make this Tuesday at 6 like a regular date, and I'm here. Think up the questions, and I hope that the answers have been of help, and good luck. Keep the faith, and just try and keep positive in lockdown. And thank you guys for coming, and it's been really nice talking. Sorry it's been so one way, but what can we do? But I guess I've been answering your questions. But yeah, hopefully we'll meet one day, and we'll one last question: what's your favourite pizza? Pepperoni. Thanks a lot.